Hey, everybody. Welcome to Think Business Live. Looking forward to talking with Kyle Jones. Kyle, welcome. I'm looking forward to talking with you. This is perfect timing because I think as we sit here live recording this on January 6th, we're kicking off the new year. And all week on my morning show, Coffee with John, I've been talking with a guy by the name of Michael Knight. He owns a company, Art of Strength. And they're big into kettlebells and working out. And it's just kind of an optimal health kind of series I'm doing this week and next week to get people to kick things off. And so what a great way to additionally kick things off with your company, iCRYO. You oversee all center operations, setup, grand openings, trainings, customer service for iCRYO. I've done iCRYO before. I think it's a very cool experience. There's a couple where I live here in Michigan. But, for those who don't understand what it is, can you give kind of a 1-minute tutorial on what iCRYO is and why people should do it?
Yeah, most definitely. Honestly, cryo is becoming very mainstream now. A lot of people are using it just during their day, right? It's just like getting a cup of Starbucks for a lot of people these days. But cryotherapy is there for one big reason: to reduce inflammation in the body, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't realize inflammation is tied to so many different things that we deal with on a daily basis. Cryotherapy sessions very fast, which is why people like it. It's somewhere between 2 and 4 minutes long, so it's very quick, very convenient. Outside of that, what we're doing is we're cooling down what you would call a walk-in chamber, right? So they're building actual, you could call cryo rooms these days, where 1, 2, even 3 people can sit inside of a cryo chamber. And it's a very small condensed room. It's maybe 4 feet by 4 feet wide, 5 feet by 5 feet wide, depending on which size chamber you go into. So multiple people can go in these chambers at one time. It's actually becoming more of an experience now than just a therapy. And during that session, what we're doing is we're cooling down the skin temperature, not necessarily the body's core temperature. That's always going to stay the relevant temp that it should be, but the body skin temperature. So we're tricking the mind into going into a hypothermic state to reach that fight or flight response. During that response, your body does many, many things in order to reoxygenate the blood, increase serotonin, melatonin, a lot of great endorphin rush from this therapy. It's just an overall reset. I always explain it kind of like your phone. When technology is lacking or slowing down or not working the way it should, what do? You reboot it, right? And so similar thing that we're doing here with cryotherapy is we're basically just resetting the system.
Yeah. Let's talk about that, Kyle, because, I think to me, I want to talk a little bit about reducing inflammation. I am not a doctor. I was pre-med for a year at school. I failed every class. I studied really hard. But so I just want to kind of put that out there. I am not a doctor of any type, but I do know the dangers of inflammation, right? And one of the things I do, I go to a Buddhist monk that does a lot of acupuncture and cupping to get rid of inflammation, right? Preventatively. And so I think, especially right now, where health is so front and center for so many people, the word inflammation, I don't even know if it's mainstream yet. I don't think people really understand it because you can't see it. You can sure feel it in your acid reflux and indigestion and some of the foods that you eat. But talk a little bit about what inflammation does to the body. So, because when you talk about we're reducing inflammation, it's a pretty serious thing that people need to, I think, wake up a little bit more to.
Most definitely. And the one big thing that everybody needs to realize out of the gate is you can never cure inflammation. It's never at a zero, right? You're always going to have some level of inflammation all the time, right? And it's just how you contain that is going to depend on how you feel. Inflammation is directly tied to all diseases. It's tied to headaches, to migraines, to sleeping patterns, cognitive ability, physical ability. It's everywhere. So when I try to explain to somebody that cryotherapy is there to reduce the inflammation, I'm talking about thousands of different things that you deal with on a daily basis. And the interesting part is, however large amounts of inflammation are bad, inflammation is necessary. It is the first stage of healing. So if you roll your ankle in a basketball game, the first thing that your body's going to do is create inflammation in that area. So inflammation is necessary. It's the first stage of healing, but you want to get past that inflammation portion and start to actually work on the healing process itself. So what we're doing is we're shortening that inflammation time to speed up the healing time, right? So I think it's interesting. It's almost like a double-edged sword. Too much inflammation is bad, but we need inflammation to heal in the same language. So for me, cryotherapy is just that. It's there to reduce that time
Yeah.
of over inflammation, if you'd like to call it that,
Yeah.
and start that recovery process.
Yeah. So let's talk about let's kind of dive into this also a little bit deeper. You know, you are a former football player. You are a former two-time national powerlifting champion. You know, you have been into bodybuilding. You did your first cryotherapy in 2012. You know, started your first place after that. But I think sometimes, you know, when there's people that work out and there's people that don't work out. I'm not judging it one way or the other, but I think people who think they work out and eat clean maybe don't need it. And so yet cryo started where it was kind of like something only the elite athletes did, right? The NFL were doing cryo, and it wasn't really, you know, there wasn't one on down the street from you. So kind of talk about why, even if you're working out and eating clean, cryo helps. And even if you're not, it helps.
Well, so I'll take a step back there on something you just said. That's kind of the misconception is cryo was just for your elite athletes. In 2009, the first cryo chamber hit the United States. But there were 30 years of cryo chambers and data overseas before that. Cryotherapy originated in 1978 in Japan. The Japanese scientist that created the first prototype was treating rheumatoid arthritis and fibromyalgia. So very, very, very serious autoimmune issues that dealt directly with inflammation. So his number one goal was, how do I treat inflammation with cold therapy on a holistic level, right? And over the years, over the decades, through the 80s and 90s, a lot of countries in Europe adopted cryotherapy as a recovery modality, from post-surgical, from PT, from just general pain management and recovery and wellness. It wasn't looked at as a beauty and anti-aging sector. It wasn't looked at as an athletic recovery sector. It was strictly looked at as rehab, post-rehab from pain, injury, surgery, which was interesting. You can actually get a cryotherapy degree in some countries overseas. So I think it's quite interesting that it started as a pain management and a autoimmune controlled therapy and moved its way to the United States. And the first organizations to get a hold of it in the United States, the Olympic athletes, I know a lot of the Olympic teams got a hold of cryo chambers when it came to the States. Nike did a project with Oregon University when they were dealing with athletes. So the athletic community was the first community to really recognize it here in the United States. So it captured the athletic eye, right? For the physical recovery. There were a lot of athletes like LeBron James, Floyd Mayweather, Cristiano Ronaldo, people that were really using cryotherapy to get back on the field faster than their competition at a better capacity, right? So for me, if you ask anybody in the United States, that's the common misconception, is this was built for athletes, but it really wasn't. So a lot of our intent with iCRYO is to change that mindset back to what it was originally created for. And for me, it goes back to what you just said, your original question of, is this for the athlete? Is this for the lay person? Is this for somebody that's coming out of surgery? Is this for a woman, a man? Is it for a teenager? Is it for an adult, a senior? It's for all the above, right? Yeah. If you kind of talk about, like I said earlier, I get the question all the time. When people know that I'm involved in cryotherapy, they say, am I a candidate for cryo? And I jokingly respond and I say, are you a living, breathing human being? Then yes, it is.
Yeah, that's great. So wait, so let's talk about 2 to 4 minutes. You know, it's interesting. Everybody's looking for, you know, I hate saying the word, but you know, everyone's looking for a shortcut. Everybody's looking to maximize their time. Everybody's looking for saving time. So, but then when you say to them, hey, 2 to 4 minutes, they think not enough time, right? So, you know, you're asking me, by the time I drive there, get into the machine, get out, you know, it's like less time. It takes more time to do everything else than the machine itself, right?
Yep.
And so kind of talk about that for a minute. What does 2 to 4 minutes do? How often should somebody do it? And why don't you need more time, or, things of that? Just kind of chat about that.
Yeah, so honestly, that's the exciting part. I don't know of a modality on the planet, in the whole world, that you can do in 2 to 4 minutes and get the array of benefits that you can with cryotherapy. So that's what attracted me immediately. I mean, I live a very fast-paced life. I always have. I've always been an entrepreneur. I've always been involved in several things at one point in time in my life. So making sure that I capitalized on my time was very crucial for me. And just like most people, time is money, right? And you have got to understand how to manage your time during the day. So for me to block out an hour and a half for a massage, or 45 minutes for acupuncture, or
Right.
whatever it may be, I just don't have the time for that. And I made the comment when we first hopped on about Starbucks,
Yeah.
and this is literally like going through a Starbucks line. I mean, 3 to 4 minutes and you're in and out that cryo chamber. It'd probably take you another 5 minutes to fill out the waiver if it's your first time. So I mean, we can get you in and out in 10 or 15 minutes. And I think
Yeah.
it's exciting to be able to have a therapy that's this powerful, be that convenient. We
Yeah.
live in that Amazon society, right? We want things quick. We want it now. We want convenience. And for me, I think it's interesting that when you get people that are accustomed to doing cryotherapy, you asked, how often should people do it? It's really a case by case basis. Are we doing this for, once again, an autoimmune issue that you deal with daily? Then instead of you're taking your prescription drugs daily, you should probably be doing cryo daily to control that inflammation. Are we doing it because you're training for a marathon and you're doing a 9-week prep up to that marathon? Well, maybe you should be doing cryo heavily for those 9 weeks. After you're done with that marathon, maybe it's just 1 to 3 times a week for
Yeah.
maintenance, right? So we do customized packages and memberships for all of our guests, and we try to tailor every single package to the person. It's very crucial for us to get to know the person. It's very crucial for us to understand why they're doing it. And there's no standardization these days. Everything's custom, from meal plans to workout routines. I mean, no one person is the same. So your cryotherapy sessions should not be the same as everybody else's.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. I love it. Let's talk a little bit about the last 2 years and how you've evolved your business, through COVID, where, maybe people aren't leaving the house as much. They aren't experimenting, or maybe they are with new things, so how have you evolved your business over the last 2 years, and how do you see that growing this year as we sit here and, kicking off 2022?
Well, it's interesting because COVID actually did our business good. Even greater than that, it did our industry good. The industry of true health and wellness, preventative care, boosting the immune system. I've always preached that my entire life. I've always tried to live an holistic lifestyle, a recovery-based mindset, do the things off the field in order to be the best on the field, right? And that doesn't mean athlete. It could mean, school teacher that needs to recover mentally because, when she's in the classroom for 8 hours a day, it's draining her. So for me, I think it's crucial for people to understand that cryotherapy is becoming something that is a lifestyle-based service. It is not something that is, in my mind, an optional thing. It's something that's a necessity to recover so you can be the best version of yourself for other people.
Yeah. I love what you're talking about right now. And I think one of the key things that you said is about, is doing things in recovery. So when it comes to recovery, when it comes to being preventative, let's just kind of, before we go into a quick speed round, kind of end on that, right? The mindset of doing something before you need it because it's good for you and it's preventative, not when you need it and you're already then behind.
Yep. And you mentioned, how has COVID impacted us? I mean, like I said, I think it's done the industry good. I think it's done everybody good. People are more aware now that they need to think preventative. They need to think, attack things now before something attacks me later. Right. And we did something very crucial 2 months before COVID actually hit at the beginning of 2020. We onboarded IV infusions. We onboarded vitamin injections. So right now, I mean, the IVs are a very hot commodity, boosting things with vitamin C, with zinc, It's amazing to see people, even people like myself that are terrified of needles, that'll get a weekly IV. I mean, it's interesting to see how the IV hydration and infusion space is just taking off.
Yeah, I do not like needles. I too am scared. I'll say that I'm probably in that book of being scared, but I still get acupuncture every other week. And there was a time I did get some IV infusions preventatively. I was going to this one doctor that was doing it, so I think there's a great a lot of value to it. Hey, Kyle, I appreciate your insight in cryo. Let's quick speed round. Favorite business book and why?
Oh man, John Maxwell's leadership laws of leadership book.
Yeah, that's a great one. That's a great one. Best piece of wisdom you've ever received?
Significance over success. Always think to make a significant impact, and you will live a very successful life.
That's great. Who told you that one?
One of my mentors in life, Logan Stout. He also is. He was mentored by John Maxwell, so that's why I'm a John Maxwell fan. Logan Stout's an author, influencer, has done a lot of good things in the leadership space as well.
That's great. That's a great quote. Finish this sentence. One thing someone can do to be preventative today is
always to think about the people that count on you.
That's great. It's great. Tell everybody where they can connect with you, how they can, get to iCRYO and all that other great stuff.
Yeah, we're very interactive on social media. You guys can find me personally on Instagram and Facebook. It's at Kyle William Jones. I'm very interactive with the community. You can find our business account on Facebook as well as at iCRYO. Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube. We're on all channels, man. We like to be very outward facing with the brand. Internet related, you guys can visit the website for anything, for business opportunity with the franchise, for service opportunity, just
All right, you're breaking up a little bit, Kyle, but iCRYO.com is the website. Appreciate you being on the show. Think community, if iCRYO.com can help you or Kyle, reach out to him. Kyle, it's been great. Thanks for what you do and talking about the importance of recovery, being preventative, how to reduce inflammation and all the things that keep us healthy. So thanks for what you do. Appreciate it very much. Think community, iCRYO, iCRYO.com. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Kyle.
See you later.